So I'd like to read out a little extract from my novel, The Noe, a Fantasy, which is set here at the meetings at the confluence of the Yarrow and the Ettrick Rivers. So this is a scene with my protagonist Janie McEttrig and her friend Emily Thomas, who is acting as a guide for her to this place. Here we are, piped up Eliza, her enthusiasm unquenched. Her passenger looked out sceptically. What now, the Tam and Janet diner? It's part of the Philip Hall estate. Carter Hall is a private grange up the road, but the actual site of the famous encounter is just a five minutes upriver, where the Ettrick and the Yarrow converge. The locals call it the meetings. It's not signposted. The first time I came here it took some finding, I can tell you. Fortunately, I asked a waitress who happened to be a local lass. Janie stepped out of the car and breathed in the atmosphere of the place. The meetings, and here she was, a child of the Ettrick, returned to the source. She shuddered. That tombstone tap dancer again, asked Eliza, pulling on her day sack and zipping up her Gore-Tex jacket. Quite possibly, brooded Janie. I'm not surprised you're feeling creeped out. This was the site of a terrible massacre. I can hear more horrible history on its way. Ignoring her, Eliza continued. The Battle of Philip Hall, one of the Civil War's darkest hours. When the Royalists were defeated, they were first taken to the castle, then shot, to be buried in a nearby field called ever since Slain Men's Lay. This place is soaked in blood. A chill breeze suddenly swept across the fields, making them both shudder. For a moment, Janie thought she saw the spirit forms of Roundheads and Cavaliers, locked in eternal combat, swirling by. Are you okay? Janie shook her head. Do you have anywhere in this country that isn't haunted? She dug her hands deep into her pockets. I can imagine an unhaunted house being a novelty and attraction. Eliza snorted with laughter at this. Ooh, check this out. She pointed at the sign about car thieves. They still have reavers by the looks of things. Janie put her journal and tin in her bag. Checking nothing tempting was in display, they locked the car and headed through some farm buildings to the riverside, following the footpath which skirted the newly built salmon weir. A nice day for a picnic, said Eliza. Janie glanced up at the sky suspiciously. Perhaps it had brightened up. There were certainly glimpses of blue through the rags and tatters of the clouds, as raggedy as a sheep munching avidly in the field. One gave them a sour look before resuming its grazing, down on its knees and determined to tear the pitiful crop from the wintered ground. Back home, picnic weather would have meant bikini tops and barbecues. She was glad she was wearing her Afghan. Pulling the collar up, she dug her hands deep into her pockets. Eliza bounded ahead. Look, snowdrops! Spring has sprung. Lambs are leaping. It's positively balmy. You can say that again, Janie caught it with her, grimacing at the apparent evidence. They had reached the riverside. Swollen torrent surged by. The women stood looking at it, as though its incessant swirling movement offered some explanation of things. Oh, cheer up, you're going to meet a rock star. I've met him. Excuse me, forgot. You two are like bosom buddies already. Well, I wouldn't put it like that. We had a chat after my gig. He said he liked my set. That old one. Janie scowled. He meant it. Thank you very much. It's nice to meet someone who isn't after me just for my body for once. Ah, what a problem. It would be a nice one to have. Eliza stared into unruly waters, getting lively by the minute. You're welcome to him. Are you sure? Passing up a night with Fingal Lewis, whoever has your heart is a lucky man. They had reached a new salmon ladder, a gigantic concrete platform stretching across the muscular river. For a while they just gazed at the angular edifice over which the skeins of water briefly disentangled themselves. Eliza busied herself taking photographs and speaking into her phone. She should make the most of being here, Janie mentally chided herself. Alan would want that. This was part of her heritage, her spawning ground. Sighing, she caught it with her guide, who enthusiastically pointed out the swirl of waters ahead. This is it! The confluence of the Yarrow and Ettrick, the meetings, the original site of Carter Hall, where Harry met Sally. Janie quipped. She struggled to see anything remarkable about it. If Eliza hadn't pointed it out, she probably would have missed it completely. Janie forced herself to look again. Even she had to admit there was something about the place, a certain atmosphere. She knelt and let her hands brush over the rabid waters so close before her. "Be careful, that current looks deadly," cautioned Eliza. "You're such an old maid," ribbed Janie. "Better than a young dead one. I hope I'm a crone one day, but not before my time." The fast-flowing waters hypnotized Janie. Life surged by in all of its vital urgency. So alive, so present. Yet before she knew it, it would be gone, racing inevitably towards its own dissolution. What could stop it? "Hey!" Eliza's hand on her shoulder pulled her back, startling Janie out of her reverie. "Looked like you were going to fall in then. I didn't fancy jumping in to rescue you." They wandered onto a bench and there awaited for the tryst, as Eliza teasingly called it. Janie made a roll-up and Eliza made more audio notes. Time passed. What time were we meant to be meeting him here? Eliza looked at her watch. About 15 minutes ago? Late, typical. She flicked the stub into the river. Do you think he's doing it on purpose? Well, give him the benefit of the doubt. Have you checked your phone? Irritated, Janie rummaged in her bag. 3 messages. She scrolled down them. I'll be there in 5. I'm here. Where are you? Strange. Eliza looked around no less. He's at a different location. Text him and ask. Janie hammered in the question and fired it off. A couple of beats later, her phone vibrated. He's at something called Tamlane's Well. Eliza grimaced. Oops, we're in the wrong place. Easily done. Finding the precise site is tricky. Few agree on it. When we said Castle Hall, I thought here. He thought there. It's by the Grange, I mentioned. Janie tried not to look cross. How long? We could be there in 5 minutes. Come on. They quickly made their way back along the riverside path to the car park. And I think I'll stop there. Thank you.